Let me see it. Is it cute?
Yeah, it's so cute.
Send it to me.
Me too.
Okay. Look what I just posted. Brunch with these two dum-dums.
Oh my gosh, so good. Is this good? I said Sunday fun day with these idiots.
Yeah, that's good. That's great. so cute.
Okay, so cute. Look what I just posted. Eating crap with these sacks of If they died tomorrow, no one would shed a tear. So cute.
Wait, what the hell?
Look, you called me a dum-dum and she called me an idiot, so.
Yeah, when you post a pic of yourself where you look really cute, then you have to say something a little self-deprecating so it doesn't look like you're just bragging.
Oh, all right, this is good. Slapping down some pig with these fat and I'm the fattest of them all. If I died tomorrow, no one would shed a tear. Load my freaking lard carcass into the mud. No coffin, please. Just wet, wet mud. Bay.
Jesus, Brenda.
All right, I got ya. Gulping down some pig with these bags of meat. Sunday fun day with these pig. Hope nobody gulps us.
So, are we the pig or the bags of meat?
Okay, let me try another one. Sitting here with two bona fide pieces of hog. They're mad because I won best hog at the hog snarfing contest. But I'm not mad because we're all loads of beef sitting on the side of a highway getting our butts sucked by flies. I tagged you both in that.
Why?
Why are you guys bullying me?
TBTL.
Maybe he saw his reflection and thought, I'm flying in hot for that hottie.
It's like your own mini garden. And, well, now that I think about it, it's kind of fun seeing how good it grows. It's kind of like, kids. Like, it's kind of like kids growing up.
My podcast is on life support. Hey, I need new listeners.
I want to be the bad boy of public radio, like Elvis Mitchell.
Well, all right. Hello, good morning, and welcome, everyone, to a Thursday edition of TBTL, the show that just might be too beautiful to live.
Somehow, heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
My name is Luke Burbank. I am your host.
You face. Who are you facing?
Coming to you once again from Las Vegas, Nevada. And let's see here.
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
Checking the temperature, currently 96 degrees. The perfect temperature to bring you a Thursday episode of TBTL, which is episode number 4,497 in a collector series.
Let the fun begin.
It's, I don't know, probably like 70 degrees in this hotel room, which I guess I should be grateful for, because it turns out one entire floor of the hotel has no air conditioning, and therefore they have a shortage of rooms, which is why I'm in a fairly crummy room here. And it's just part of this overall thing happening in Las Vegas, it would seem, where everything is kind of worse and kind of more expensive, including a $26 bottle of water from the mini bar.
Sounds expensive.
At the Aria Hotel that's touched off a whole conversation here, which I'm part of. I mean, not formally, I'm not engaging with the other people having the conversation, but I'm telling you all about it because I'm here in Las Vegas, and honestly, this town, not great right now.
It stinks.
What is great is that many people have birthdays this week, and we will celebrate those birthdays on this Thursday, a.k.a. Blur's Day.
My birthday today.
What's also great is that we have this guy here with us, the longest-running Cobra of the program, maybe best known for his depictions of the tall ships. He's playing hurt today, by the way. He's got an injured nipple.
You seem to me to be a pretty righteous hombre.
He's Andrew Walsh, and he's joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Would you believe me if I told you the injured nipple is the least, or it has become the second most interesting thing in my life right now?
In between when you told me about it during sound check 8 minutes ago and now, something more interesting than your injured nipple has popped up?
It has, in fact. And the injured nipple is only 9 minutes old, too. I was rushing in here, and I just bashed myself into the door frame. Just nailed that guy, and it really hurt there for a little bit. I'm okay on that now, though. The pain is going down. I've taken nipple medicine, so I'm good there.
Please never say the words nipple medicine.
Okay, let's move off of that. Luke, this is something interesting that I'm interested in kind of your reaction to, and maybe you can help me sleuth something out. I grabbed a book off of my bookshelf that I don't need to get into it now. Do you know who Joseph Mitchell is? He was an essayist back in the 30s and 40s. I think in a lot of New Yorker writings, but he was kind of like a stud Sturkle. I think he would do a lot of profiles of people who were just working their jobs or living their daily lives or whatever. And I'll tell you, the reason I'm grabbing it is because there's a story in the newspaper, I think maybe yesterday's Seattle Times, about a bar in Seattle that is getting, I think, sued or some sort of, complaint is being leveled against them by ASCAP, the music kind of licensing company, because apparently, this bar was playing. It's just some pop song. It's not even a new pop song. I don't know if it was David Bowie or what. No, it was Radiohead. Some Radiohead song and something else is what they happened to nail them on. But essentially, if you're a bar or any kind of a public establishment and you have music playing through your loudspeakers, you got to pay a licensing fee. It's a blanket licensing fee. And most, the cost of doing business. And apparently this one bar simply refused to even return their, the ASCAP phone calls on this issue and are now being officially sued or something like that. The reason I bring all this up, and my God, I'm not even near what I want to tell you, is I thought it was an interesting story from 2025 because Joseph Mitchell, I remember, wrote an essay about an ASCAP investigator way back in the 1930s, a guy who would drive around or walk around.
What in the name of broadside ballads was that ASCAP?
That's
what was he enforcing at the time?
I think it was live piano music, honestly. That's what I'm looking for now.
Oh, so if you were to play the sheet music
of somebody, of somebody that you didn't have the rights to.
But it was sheet music you didn't have the rights to. Wow.
So anyway, and this is something, I'm going to be on that KUW show tomorrow, so I wanted to make... Oh, here it is, right. ASCAP Investigator. In Chapter 7 of the collection My Ears Are Bent by Joseph Mitchell. Chapter 7, It's a Living, is a collection of people doing their jobs, and one of them is ASCAP Investigator. So I wanted to reread that before the show tomorrow. I don't even know if we're going to be talking about that news story, to be honest with you. We're getting ever closer to what I'm actually trying to get to. I open up this book, which I
feel
have not...
there's some kind of ask Cap questions later joke.
Oh, sure.
I'm trying so hard to make, and my brain's just not helping me today.
Bust an ass cap in your ass cap? I don't know. I'm just
kind of violent there, Ice Cube.
I'm trying.
By the way, I was listening to NWA on my jog this morning, and I really think "Express Yourself," the NWA song, might be the best rap song of all time. It might have, and to give credit, to give flowers to our friend O'Shea Jackson, aka Ice Cube. I think it might be the best rap song of all time, and it's all him.
I'd have to re-listen.
I'm expressing with my full capabilities, and now I'm living in correctional facilities because some don't agree with how I do this. I get straight meditate like a Buddhist.
I just feel like the best rap song of all time. I feel like it's going. I'm a big Missy Elliott fan. People always laugh at me for some reason. I feel like she's very underrated as a lyricist and a performer, and so I don't know if I can get on board with that. I do like that song a great deal. I haven't heard it in a while. Here's where I need your help, Luke. I open up this book, this Joseph Mitchell book, and what do I find in there? I don't know if you can hear this. A 2-page letter written on notebook paper from my friend Andrea that she sent me way back in 2003. Now, so she must have sent me this letter, and I read it, and I must have just tucked it in this book, which I probably have not opened since then. And what I find interesting about this is in 2003, I'm living in New Hampshire pretty recently. Maybe I'm there a year or two at that point. And I'm just, while you're doing your introduction, I'm just like, oh, what is this letter from Andrea? And this is the first line. Hope it's okay to share this. Andrew, bonjour. Andrea is obviously fancy. Andrew, bonjour. I've written to you from here before, not France, but Cindy's restaurant in Seattle. The woman who says hun and means it isn't here this morning, but I'm pretending she'll be serving my large waffle any minute now. And then she has a little asterisk. Apparently it's Cindy's restaurant or House of Pancakes, depending on the sign that you decide to read. Where is this place? Do I know Cindy's?
I don't know if it exists anymore, but let me just double check something because I remember this from my childhood very well.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was
confused, by the way, with another place that was called Pancake Haus, Haus, where I used to take Addie on I would go snag her from like kindergarten and take her out for lunch, and we would go to Pancake Haas, which was on Northgate Way.
I would go to
Cindy's-
Pancake Little Joe, by the way. That's a Bonanza joke.
Yeah, I got that.
Thank
I got
you.
that.
That's really good.
I would go to Hop Singh's House of Pancakes. I believe that was the cook on the show Bonanza.
Wow. I was just going to try to throw a Lauren Green joke in there. Okay, go ahead.
Cindy's House of Pancakes. Let's see here. I'm trying to get to the. This was. I think it was on Aurora.
I was wondering because for some reason I got Aurora vibes from that. I'm wondering.
You know what it
have I
was?
seen
It was
this
not
sign?
far from your beloved SARS. Your SARS grocery store. So basically, what is that? 106th, where the Arco is. It was
105th,
literally
105th.
It was directly across Aurora from the Arco. That
What?
building, whatever is across the street from the Arco, used to be Cindy's House of Pancakes.
Wait a
when I
second.
was
That's
a
like
kid.
an exotic pet hospital now. I'm not joking.
You mean
or
hospital, Haus.
Wait, is it? Well, now we're just getting Well, you know what? Let's just do it. So, is it like there are 4 things on the corners there? There is there's the Arco gas station and AM PM, as you just said. Kitty corner to that, you have the O'Reilly's Tire Center. Across from the O'Reilly's, and like
The O'Reilly's, by the way, used to be a electronics store called Silo, and then it became a golf place, like a place that sold golf clubs, and is now an O'Reilly's.
I'll bet you I would have liked Silo, and you're reminding me. I think I just heard of Silo for the first time, like in the past couple of months, because I think I found a commercial on an old VHS tape for Silo.
That would check
I
out.
feel like I might have even sent that to you in Camaro Kev. Maybe it was like a year ago, and I was like, have you guys heard of this place? Okay, so, and then the other thing, there is a dental operation, kind of across from the, across 105th from the Arco. So it must have either been the animal hospital,
It was the animal hospital.
Hospital. So it was the animal hospital. Interesting. Wow.
Cindy's House of
I mean,
Pancakes.
I'm sorry I know that, okay, I filibustered a lot at the beginning of this, but it's just very weird to stumble on a physical letter from 2003 written from a place that is like 3 blocks from where I live now, never even knowing when I received this that I would someday live in Seattle and almost the location of this letter.
It's like yesterday when I was talking to Dana White of the UFC, who said he's an avowed atheist, but he thinks God saved Donald Trump from being shot. It's like that. It's just like that.
How does that math work?
Well, the fact that your friend wrote you a letter from Cindy's House of Pancakes and you now live near there is an interesting coincidental development.
No, I meant how does the math work on what he said? He doesn't believe in
I
God,
don't understand.
but he does
He also
believe
said
in God.
that Donald Trump should have 2 Nobel Peace Prizes. So there was a lot to unpack from the conversation. It was actually a very, I have to say, the guy is quite warm and genial, but said a lot of things that I've spent the intervening 24 hours considering and trying to figure out how the math works on them. But back to your point, that is pretty wild that your friend wrote you a letter from Cindy's House of Pancakes, a place that we drove by often as a family on our way to wherever we would go, and it looked so inviting. It was something about, well, 2 things. One, the word pancakes, and the word Cindy. It seemed like a place where a lady named Cindy was cooking up pancakes, and I wanted to go there so badly, but we were not the kind of family. We didn't have Cindy's House of Pancakes money.
No, I guess not. You weren't hanging out with people who say bonjour at the beginning of their emails.
Yeah,
Or not
somebody
emails,
sends you
letters.
a letter and they say bonjour. You assume it's coming from France, or at least the Paris Casino here in Las Vegas. You don't think it's coming to you from Cindy's House of Pancakes on Aurora.
Yeah, I need to reach out to Andrea. I haven't spoken with her in a while. We almost share a birthday, I believe. I think we're 1 day apart in November, so that's probably the last time we talked. We like to check in on our birthday week, but yeah, I need to reach
Have
out.
you looked
This
at
is gonna
have you
blow
looked
my
at the
mind.
sign for Cindy's House of Pancakes? by the
No,
way?
no. Oh, are you looking at old photos on the internet?
Yes, it is so classic Seattle. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is iconic. It's one of those many iconic things that, of course, has now turned into an exotic pet hospital.
Yes, which, I mean, listen, it's good for the exotic pets. Like, they need their places too, I guess.
Absolutely. Someone's got to take care of these cockatiels.
Yeah, boy,
What
think about how
qualifies-
different my life would be if Cindy's House of Pancakes were still open. Look at these booths. These booths.
Yeah, right.
Sorry. Oh, my goodness. My
These
gracious.
booths are made for sitting, Andrew.
These
And
booths
that's
were
absolutely
made
what you would have
for
done.
sitting. Oh, my goodness. This place looks wonderful.
Yeah. How exotic does the pet need to be? Could I bring Bubbles in there?
That's what I've never gone in there, Luke. Wow, big stacks of pancakes. Okay, I'm going to close this out.
If I were to bring in like a fairly normal cat, I would say Bubbles is fairly exotic. She's a Bengal. But like if I brought Bubbles in, would they say we don't even? And let's just say that she had a hurt paw. They would go, we don't even know what to do with this paw. We only work on a paw from a liger.
Right, exactly. Or if your cat happened to have a bird claw, that would be exotic too, right?
That would definitely be exotic. But like, do they not know how to fix regular animals? The animal has to be some kind of bearded dragon.
Right, exactly. And
them to be
in this case, it has to be a real beard too. I mean, that's how exotic.
Yes. No, a bearded dragon with a hormonal issue where it's also growing an actual beard.
I'm on their website now. It's actually not a bad website. I was expecting much worse based on the outside of the building. Bird and Exotic Clinic of Seattle, the finest in veterinary care.
And I believe it, by the way. Shout out to these folks. They're doing God's work. It's just, I wonder if they could probably, here's the thing, they could probably fix a regular pet, but any veterinary clinic could fix a regular pet. They're the people you go to when your lemur has gout.
My lemur has gout. Yeah, you know what? I feel a little bit bad saying, like, kind of judging this place by the outside. Like, listen, the outside of this place is absolutely fine. There's no frills, but there's also, it's not like it's trash strewn or something. It's just in a, part of town that's a little bit scruffy, but like, there's nothing right. And now I'm looking at the website and it's like giving the bios of the two vets who work there seem like great people. They have a mission here, Luke. I'm going to get a bird and exotic pet to bring here now, I think.
Yes.
Or I'm going to put a little fake beard and mustache on Bubbles. Can I borrow Bubbles? And just say,
good luck.
My bearded cat. Please,
I would
look
bring
at his
Bingo
beard.
in, honestly. I think Bingo will play along much better.
Yeah, I'm sure. Bingo
Bubbles
goes to the vet and he's kind of like, oh, new friends.
Becca has started to try to crate Bubbles overnight sometimes because she's so incorrigible. And if you have the bedroom door open, then she comes into the bedroom, and as I mentioned the other day on the show, now knows how to open a jewelry box and just start pulling things out. But then if you close the door, of course, she just scratches the door like crazy in the middle of the night. So the thought was maybe put her in a crate, a nice, comfy crate with a little padding in there and stuff in the night, and maybe she'll just go to sleep. Sometimes for animals, that will calm them down. And that has not worked. She loves the crate from about 9 a.m. till about 10 p.m., goes in there voluntarily, hangs out, sleeps, chills to save up her energy for the 10 p.m. through 5 a.m. hours.
Where she becomes a terror.
Where she becomes an absolute terror. And if she is in the crate and the door is closed at some point in the middle of the night, she just starts absolutely wilding out in there to where then Becca has to open the thing and let her out.
Yeah, I guess she likes it on her terms. I can associate with that.
I feel like the exotic pet clinic might be able to help with this. I don't know.
Maybe, they sell.
If it's a transorbital lobotomy. I don't know if Bubbles would get smarter or dumber from a lobotomy, but I'm willing to try.
I don't think that we should give cats lobotomies.
Really?
I'd rather have a cat bottle in front of me than a cat frontal lobotomy. Good Lord.
God.
If at any point you want to restart the show, I'm totally fine with
3, 2, 1. Hey, can I tell you something?
Please.
That it's actually very good that we've been talking about these things, Andrew, including Cindy's Pancake House and your friend Andrea, and the topics you may or may not discuss tomorrow on KUOW. Because if it were left to me, all I would have would be complaints today, and that's not a fun show.
No.
That's not fun for the listeners. That's kind of That's a negative way to be in the world. But I got to tell you something that happened to me yesterday after I was done with the filming for CBS, and then I came back to the hotel, and then I went down to get a bottle of water from the lobby of the hotel. They have a little convenience store in there because, and this is sort of related more to what was going to be the top story. I have a feeling today's show may just sort of sprawl. Although we do have a dazzling donor, so maybe that will create a little bit of structure, a little bit of much needed structure. But I was getting some water because they don't give you, they don't have a water station in this hotel lobby, which is, most hotel lobbies, decent hotels, they'll just have like a thing of water and some cups and you can give yourself some water. I'm of the opinion that they don't give you free water here because they want you to have to go buy it in the convenience store.
Not only
Which again
that.
is part of this whole larger thing that's going on here. But I went into the little convenience store thingy, got me some Aquafina. By the way, the water that they offer, everybody was very nice at the UFC yesterday. I went to the UFC headquarters. You walk in though, it's so funny. It's like the front desk staff is like 5 incredibly jacked 23-year-old guys with mullets.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most interesting front desk crew I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like a totally, it just flips the whole idea. Whatever your sort of gender normative ideas about what maybe the secretarial staff of the place would be or whatever. It's just all guys who I think are waiting for someone in the UFC to get hurt so they can jump in.
You know what
and
I'm
they feel like if I
picturing?
work.
Did you watch The Righteous Gemstones at all?
I'm aware of it. I'm aware of the characters. I didn't watch many episodes, but who are you thinking?
Oh, well, there was Adam Devine is on that show, of course, and he's
Yes.
Plays,
Is it his boyfriend?
Yes, his friend / boy. I don't know. Are they boyfriend? But yeah,
I thought that was kind of
boy-
the joke. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, there's some attraction there. I think I didn't watch season 2, but yeah, that's who I'm picturing. That he's kind of got a like really in the character, really sweet guy, but totally jacked with a mullet.
That was basically the whole front desk
Love
staff.
it.
But
I love it.
One of these nice, jacked, bemulleted kids said, "Hey, would you like some water?" I said, "Absolutely." And again, I think he's just going to hand me a bottle of water. He hands me a kind of Monster Energy drink looking can of something called Drip.
Oh.
It's like a giant. I mean, I guess it's good. It's not plastic, so we're not throwing more plastic in the oceans. But it was a giant aluminum can of water, still water, but it was called Drip.
Mm-hmm.
It's like only at the UFC.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid we hand you a bottle of Fiji. This is Drip. This
Yeah.
is not your granddad's water.
It's for drips. I mean, what can you say?
So anyway, I'm going downstairs to get a bottle of Drip at the little store here, and I go to pay for it with my card, and my card is declined. And I'm like, those stinkers at Bank of America, they think that my card's been stolen because here I am in Las Vegas, Nevada. So I use a different card, and I go to call them up, and while I'm waiting for them to pick up, I'm looking at my Bank of America account.
No.
Yeah, someone has charged $10,000.
Oh no.
On my card. I had 50 cents, Andrew. I had 50 cents of room on the card. Like that's why, and the water was like $2.50, so it was $2 over. Someone had been going ham on my card digitally. They weren't doing this physically. They weren't going around. I think most of it was to something that was like a string of like nonsense numbers, and then this is kind of ironic considering how I make my side hustle. Something called Microsoft Ads. There was many charges to, I'm just looking at this now, I'm going to read it to you directly. Microsoft *ads hyphen, and then just like a string of nonsense numbers.
And that's how it appears on the statement, like the digital credit card statement.
There's like, they tested out the Microsoft Store, I think, for $1, and then that went through. So then they did $250 at the Microsoft Store, and then another $250, and then $1,000, and then $5,000, and then $5,000, and then $100 for good measure.
And these $5,000 charges are, did you say 1,000, 5,000, or 500 and 1,000? Sorry, I kind of got lost in the numbers there.
Well, the point is it's a lot of money.
Yeah, the point is it's a lot of money. I was just curious, though, but these big purchases are going to this Microsoft Ads thing, too. I know that's not
something
the point
called
of the story,
Microsoft * ads, and then like a G1202 AJX thing. I don't know if that's via the. I mean, they must have, because I physically had the card, so they must have gotten the number somehow, and then I guess maybe gone to like a Microsoft. I think they still have those Microsoft stores, probably like their answer to the Apple Store, but maybe there's a digital version. I mean, I don't even know what that means. But here's what I can tell you, Andrew. Did anybody at Bank of America reach out to me to ask if I wanted to spend $10,000 on Microsoft Ads? This amazing, security-focused organization that is protecting my money The one time someone's trying to take my money, did they do anything about it? And the answer, my friend, is no. They were being total drips. Like, this is almost more annoying than the money being stolen, which will go back to the card. And also, this is a credit card, thankfully, so it's not like coming out of my bank account, but it's still things annoying. But like, for all of the talk, and by the way, I want to shout out, I forget the name of the listener who clarified this, but they were very right. When I go on this rant, usually, one of the things that I will say is, if, let's say, your money is stolen out of your checking account, it's protected by the FDIC. That is actually not correct. That money is not FDIC. That's just covered by the bank. The FDIC thing, I think, has to do with something else, and this person explained it, and I've now forgotten.
If banks fail, thank you. It was in reaction, I think, to like the stock market crash of the 30s, right?
Exactly.
I'm sure Joseph Mitchell has an essay about it.
And you'll find it, right?
Right.
With 2 other notes tucked in from other friends writing from other pancake houses. But anyway, I was so agog, not even that this happened, because this happens in life. And again, it's not the end of the world. I called them. Well, the bummer part is now my card is toast. Like, I have to get a new card, which means I have to change everything that's associated with this card, every little, good to go toll account, etc. But it's just the fact that, like, I feel like there are so many ways in which these financial institutions rather, make things a little more challenging for me, but it's in the name of protecting my money. It's in the name of, like, making my life more convenient. And then the thing that they're supposedly protecting me from happens. And I only found out about it because I tried to buy a thing of water and I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this would have just been sitting there indefinitely. I didn't get a text. I didn't get an email from them. I didn't get any notification that this wildness was happening on my card.
What are the things that you have to do that you find annoying?
The things that I have to do. Well, oftentimes I've tried to use this card in places and it's told me that I can't use it because they think it's stolen. They're very quick to, for instance, I was once buying a bunch of groceries with Addie. I was going to make a big breakfast, and it was like a Saturday morning, and had all the groceries, and I'm standing at the thing, and I go to use the card, and it's turned off because for some reason they were suspicious that the card was being used. Maybe I don't buy enough breakfast food on a Saturday morning. But like, those kinds of things happen, and I find those to be an annoyance. But I guess the upside is it is keeping my account safe from bad actors. Except the one time a bad actor tries to bad act, it just goes right on through. And I didn't even get a message from them going, hey, you don't ever spend $10,000 at the Microsoft store online. Is this you? You would think this would be one of the times when they would actually step up and do it, and they've done nothing.
But you're not responsible for any of this either. That's good.
As far as I'm aware, I mean, I talked to the person and they said, again, they destroyed the card, or they, turned the card off. I destroyed the card. And now I'm just waiting. I mean, it's still all on here, by the way. It hasn't like gone away. So they're doing some kind of, I guess, investigation, but which I am assuming will find that I did not buy whatever these items were from this place. But it just felt to me like I've been on this harangue for years and years on this show, and everyone loves it and no one is tired of it. But it just feels like there's something also ironic about being in Las Vegas, because in years past when I was a little bit more degen, I would often have them stop me from using my card here because I was trying to get money out of the ATM or something, and the bank was being like, actually, maybe the bank was helping me. They were like, buddy, why don't you calm down? Why don't you take a moment and think about if this is a good financial decision? But they're often turning your card off in Vegas when you're trying to do money things with it. And then here I am in Vegas finding out that someone has been misappropriating my funds, or I guess Bank of America's funds, to the tune of $11,000 plus.
It's always creepy to me, when you're a victim of some sort of a robbery. Think of, luckily I've never experienced any kind of like, home break-in or home invasion or whatever you want to call it. I have had, vehicles broken into, smash and grabs, that type of thing before.
You did get some free headphones though, right? When they stole your
that's
scooter?
right. They actually literally stole our entire scooter, our Honda Elite, and drove it around town and then wrecked it. And then when I finally got that, when I went to visit it, I wouldn't say I got it back. It was no longer usable. But when I went to visit it and give it last rites at the at the, what do you call the place where the tow trucks bring your car, at the impound lot, I opened up the little boot, and instead of my helmet and other stuff being in there that I had left in there was what was in there, a drill, a rechargeable drill that I think we still have. Yeah, some Beats by Dre headphones that I finally threw away. A bottle, like a half a bottle of Bullet whiskey, and an unopened
Did you
pack of
consider
cigarettes.
drinking that?
No, because it was opened, and I think I had just recently stopped smoking, like probably within a year or something around this time.
No, I remember this.
Because I remember a full unopened pack of cigarettes in there. I'm pretty sure they were Marlboro Lights because I can kind of remember the white box. And I remember thinking, I don't think I would be tempted to smoke them even if I was like still a smoker at that time. That's not my brand, and I don't know, it just felt weird. But I just remember thinking, whoever ditched this bike was not ready to ditch it. They were running from something, because any smoker knows you don't just leave a full unopened pack of cigarettes behind. It's just like, you just don't. You know where you're, I mean, unless you're, I don't know. In my case, I'd always I would know when I'm getting down to the bottom of a pack of cigarettes and I know that I have the next pack or I don't, or I need to get one or whatever. Like, you just are pretty aware of where your next fresh pack of cigarettes are. And I remember finding those in there and thinking, this person did not have time to get their whiskey and their cigarettes. All that is to say, I mean, I'm not saying anything super interesting here, but obviously you feel invaded, right? It's such a weird feeling of personal violation, sort of. But even digitally, even though nothing physically was broken into or whatever, don't you get like kind of a weird bad feeling, like just because you wanted, like, well, what were they buying? What was this Microsoft thing? Or like when our card was hacked or my card was hacked, somebody was buying, I've said this many times, like pay-per-view stuff for DAZN fights or whatever.
And again, you don't think this was Camaro Kev.
No, I do. I just can't prove it.
The number one DAZN watcher, Andrew.
I just can't prove it, Luke.
One of your close friends is a DAZN fan, and then your card is stolen and someone's watching DAZN, and you can't connect these dots.
I remember I left my wallet on their counter. I went in to use the restroom. I came out 5 minutes later, and Camaro Kev was in a really good mood. I don't know, man. I have circumstantial evidence. But anyway, maybe...
It's like the old joke. Oh, wait.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
The old joke, it's like a guy thinks that his wife is cheating on him, so he hires a private investigator. He says, I think my wife is cheating on me, but I can't prove it. And so the private investigator follows her around, and then he comes back and he sits the guy down and he shows the guy all these photos and he goes, yeah, right after you left the house, then a guy came over and met her, and then they left together, and then they went and got dinner, and then they went to a hotel, and photos of them going up into the room, and then they take their clothes off, and then they pull the shades, and the guy goes, that's what I'm talking about. There's still that doubt.
Yeah, right. Yes. That's Camaro Kev.
Yeah, that's Camaro Kev. But no, here's what I will say. I feel weirdly 5% less violated because they never physically had my card, if that makes any sense. Like, this is annoying, but it's like, there's something about somebody having your card, and then, like, this happened. Becca had her entire purse stolen out of her car while she was like jogging one time. And then it was like we were just watching the places that these people were going with the card and trying to run it and trying to do things. And there's something about it traveling with them. This to me felt like this is offshore. This is somebody probably very far away from here who just, I don't know how these things work, but use some sort of computer chicanery to get my info, and then, stole it off of the dark web or something, and then just like bought, who knows, probably a gift card. My guess is this is all gift card, right? Because that's a very fungible thing.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. Yeah, for me, even though it wasn't a physical card, I was still like, because I was on the phone with a bank representative. I mentioned this to you kind of recently, and I remember he was going line by line with me. What about this? Did you buy this? It was, yes.
I was doing that too.
I was like, more touch tunes. Yes, sir, the touch tunes are mine. Yes, $100 of touch tunes, sir. Yes. That Laura Branigan song slaps. It needs to be heard many times at the Vibe, okay? But anyway, like going line by line and being like, yeah, the touch tunes are mine. No, the DAZN is not mine, whatever. And you're kind of going through it all. It did, like, even though there wasn't a physical card lost for me, I was still like, who is this slime ball? Like, and I'm trying to like picture them, trying to picture how they got my information, how what they went around doing. I think the thing about the Microsoft purchases all being from that, like, kind of that weird, kind of result or whatever the weird record is, like that's really like I'm kind of obsessed with that now. Like, what was it? What was the game? Our buddy, this is really we'll keep this anonymous, but I'm pretty sure you know this story. Our buddy was mugged outside of a bar like how many years ago, Luke? 2-3 years ago now?
Yeah.
Very, very, very scary.
That's a full-on
assault.
Full assault, like bad news kind of situation.
It was
I
really
always
ugly.
think this, like, is there a difference between does a robbery have to involve, when someone says I was robbed, does that have to involve either force or the threat of like violence or the threat of violence versus, is there a different category? Like, I don't feel like I was robbed in this case.
Interesting. I feel like you were.
I was frauded. My stuff was stolen, but it doesn't feel like a robbery to me. A robbery, to quote Tim Roth in Pulp Fiction, everybody be cool, this is a robbery. Like, it feels like robbing seems like there has to be, like, burgling is you went into the house, you took stuff out, maybe they didn't even know you were there. That's a burgling, that's not a robbery. A robbery is stick 'em up in my mind. But I don't know if any of that's true. That's just how my mind categorizes these things.
I think you're absolutely right about burglary, and I haven't looked this up yet. I'm kind of laughing because
What about hamburgling?
I love the word burgle, and I love
It's
I
really
love the word
fun.
burglary, and so, and this is just so embarrassing to admit. Like, I'm not going to say I do this all the time, but it's not uncommon, if I'm at the grocery store and I'm doing self-checkout, which I do 99.99% of the time, and at some point, if the balance is off or the weight is off or whatever, the computer's like, okay, before you can pay, somebody has to come over here and inspect your stuff or whatever, and I often will say to the person, I don't know, it thinks I'm burglaring or something like that, or I'll just be like, I don't know, it thinks I'm a burglar, but like that is, it makes me laugh because I love that word so much, but that is not what a burglar would do. Like, if you're trying to like steal a thing of milk at the checkout, that's not burglary. I think you're right. That you have to go into a physical, it almost feels like home, right? But no, a business can be burgled. You could go into a business and steal money or property. That would be burglary. But like a mugging is not burglary, I don't think. I do think that's robbery. But I also do think that you were robbed here. I don't know. Like, I mean,
Interesting.
Because what else would it be?
Theft.
There's theft. But you've been...
I was thieved.
You were thieved within an inch of your life last night. Robbery is the action of taking property unlawfully from a person or place by force, Luke, or threat of force.
Wow, I was pretty close.
You absolutely nailed that. You were not robbed.
Yeah, I was.
Wow, you were not robbed. Well, that should put you in a better mood.
I feel my mood is improving already.
You thought you were robbed, but you weren't.
No, I mean, honestly, today is really turning around. Let's thank a dazzling donor to celebrate.
We was hoping for some razzle-dazzle.
Razzle-dazzle.
That's right, man, razzle-dazzle.
On your mark. On your mark. Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready,
go. Everybody razzle dazzle.
Look at this, Andrew. We thought we were all done with the dazzling donors, but in fact, there was one final dazzling donor that we needed to thank, a person who's been donating a dazzling amount of dough, and it is our dear friend, Sarah Nichols Smith, over there in Crown Hill. Now, this is interesting. Crown Hill, Washington. As the Crown Hill neighborhood seceded from Seattle, Washington.
I did not know about this, but that is definitely something we should explore on KUOW tomorrow, if that's the case.
Absolutely. I think you should. So I have to tell you something, Andrew. I'm very impressed with you today. The fact that you had that Joseph Mitchell book, that you read it.
Well, I haven't read it. Well, I mean, I read it back in the day.
Yeah, that you read it back in the day, that you saved it, that you remembered that there was an ASCAP reference to it, in it, rather. And then you went and found it on your shelf so that you can go into KUOW tomorrow and talk about this. That's a very sort of very dignified way to go through life. I'm very impressed.
You left one thing out. I remembered it. I found it. I banged the hell out of my nipple.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to reread it. The weird thing is, Luke, there must have been something about that story that stuck with me because I'm looking at this. This is filled with... It's a smallish book. They're short essays, but there's probably 50 essays in here or something like that. That's literally the only one I remember. I think it just fits my kind of interest level, right? The whole, I just find it interesting that way back in the 30s, people were still like or not still, but back in the 30s and in 2025, it's still essentially the same thing. You walk into a bar, you tilt your ear, you're like, hey, they're playing music. Do you have a license? If not, you're busted. Like, it's just like, it's still just it's not a lot different than it was in the 1930s.
The big question, though, in all this is how will you shoehorn this into the conversation in a way that maximizes your coolness but doesn't seem like you're shoehorning it?
Yeah, I don't. That's a good point. I mean, I may or may not. I mean, I don't even know for sure if the story will come up. But I mean, now I'm getting into too much detail.
Story.
But what I did was, the people who produce the show send out an email to the guests and say, "Do you have anything that you thought was interesting this week that you'd like to talk about?" And we all throw ideas around. So I already sort of tipped my hand on this one. I was just like, "Oh, I find this story pretty interesting in the paper today about this ASCAP bust or whatever," and it reminds me of this essay from Joseph Mitchell. I'll see if I can find it. So, I mean, if it comes up on the show, they'll know that I'm not like, I wasn't just thinking of it in the moment. I'm not going to like lean back, take a puff on my pipe, and maybe scratch my elbow where I have one of those pads on the outside
That's
of
why
my
they've
sport
asked me
coat.
to not come back to the show, because that's how I was starting almost every comment. But
I don't want to make fun of you, Luke, but that was a bubble pipe, right? I mean, that was the thing. They didn't even mind you bringing a pipe into the studio.
Well, the real one gives me a headache.
I know, I understand that, but it just hits differently. Like when you're like trying to look smart and you're blowing bubbles on your
think
pipe.
what you need to do, you need to put everybody else on the panel on defense by saying, when the story comes up, you go, well, it's like the Joseph Mitchell essay.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you don't even contextualize it. You offer it as if everyone knows this Joseph Mitchell essay.
Oh, I see. Just end it there. Well, of course. Well, of course. It's like that Joseph Mitchell essay from 1939.
Oh, that's, what? I hadn't even thought of that. That is a real power move.
Yeah, just leave it there. And then when people look at you blankly, like,
full stop.
Oh, you're unfamiliar? Do I have to reteach this to you?
Hold on. I've got it actually here in my back pocket by coincidence. I carry around a tattered copy of this book.
I use this 20-year-old note from my friend Andrea as a bookmark.
Sarah is, of course, in Crown Hill, Washington, and says, Hi, business boys. Congratulations on another successful year of being all of our escape mechanism.
No.
What you do is truly so important. I'm making the same offer I did last year for potential clients and referrals. If you're a 10 and you use me to help you buy or sell your home, I'd love to sponsor you as a dazzling donor for the TBTLathon 2026. Coming to you, Andrew, coming to the listeners from Friendship, Wisconsin.
Well, that'll be TBTLathon 2025. This is for the thon after that in 2026, which maybe, if we get detained in Friendship in 2025, we might be doing the thon there in 2026 as well. We will see.
I hadn't even thought about that. Also, I'm apparently unfamiliar with what year we're in. I have so much fun working. I have so much fun working with 10s. Having a shared language is a helpful framework for a stressful time. Who else knows how to properly pronounce what or spreadsheet, or knows what I mean when I ask if they're a Luke or an Andrew? This framework is very helpful in informing my approach. I love this idea. I love this idea that somebody is looking to purchase a home or sell a home, and they're talking to Sarah, and Sarah is able to very quickly understand their needs and the way in which this process will go best for them based on if they're a Luke or an Andrew. Are you a Johnny or a Bobo?
Right. And so I saw Sarah just the other day. She dropped. In fact, I'm gonna tell you about a gift that Sarah just dropped off for you here in a moment. But Sarah's
pour moi.
Well, she got us both gifts, but I know about mine. But I'm going to tell you about yours. They're the same gift. They're really cool. But so she stopped by and we were chatting, and she did say that like she did help somebody who's a listener of TBTL sell their condo in the last year, and now that person is going to be a dazzling donor because Sarah is going to sponsor them as a dazzling donor. And she did say, she said, being like two people who listen to the same show, I can literally say, like she said, we had conversations like, well, I'm a little bit of an Andrew when it comes to that, so I'm looking for this. I don't know what it means. It's probably like I'm a bit of an Andrew, so I'm looking for like a sauna and like kind of a sexy hot tub. I like a mirror on the ceiling. I don't want
any of those kind of doors that smash your nipple.
Right, I'm kind of an Andrew.
None of those.
I'm kind of an Andrew. We're going to need wider doors, and we're going to need to put pool noodles on them. Yes. Yes, exactly.
Sarah says, if you're not selling a home or buying a home in the near future, or if you live outside my region, I can still help. I'll sponsor you at the daily donor level if you refer me to someone who hires me, or if you let me connect you with a realtor in your area. See how I did not split the diphthong there, Andrew? I'm very proud of myself on that.
Yes, in realtor, you mean? It is.
I did not say realtor.
Yeah, it's a very easy word to mispronounce.
Although I think in bragging there, I think I said something that doesn't make sense. I think you have a split infinitive or you have a diphthong. I don't think there's a split diphthong.
Oh, that's interesting. So it is. So I always forget that. So like the fact that E and A are next to each other, but it's one syllable, like real, that's a diphthong.
I think that might be a diphthong.
That makes sense.
But I said I lauded myself for not splitting my diphthong, but I don't think anyone's ever done that. So anyway,
I did it once. I ran into a door and I split my diphthong.
I bet you did. I have been so fortunate this year to work with incredible clients. In a fun twist, my 10th closing of the year is a 10 who will be a dazzling donor next year. This is the person you're referring to, I believe.
So. Yeah.
If you're in the Daniel Bagley Elementary District of Seattle, swing through my office at Lake. Wait a minute. I don't know if I've discussed this with Sarah in person. Sarah is at the Lake Real Estate office, Andrew. Do you understand? That's right at the sort of intersection of Winona and Green Lake Way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know that area. Okay, yeah.
That real estate office has been there, I would say, for almost the entire. It was there for almost the entire time that I lived in Seattle as a kid. Certainly from maybe 10 years old on. And it is still there, and it is part of the kind of mental map of my life as a child, is this real estate office that Sarah works from.
Oh, that's cool. No, I didn't know that was like kind of such a legacy there. You know what? I know this building. Oh, yeah. What a cute little building there, right at this kind of funky intersection that is it's kind of a tight triangle corner. I know this place. I mean, I know of it from passing it. Yeah. That's great.
That's where Sarah is. Sarah says, I'm also a mom on the net, so you can find me at
nice.
Nickel Smith Realtor. And Nickel is Nickel, and then Smith Realtor. And at Nicholsmith it's on Blue Sky. Just look at Nicholsmith. I don't need to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
The BSKY.social. By the way, Andrew, I have some Blue Ski news for you. Do you know who started following me on Blue Ski during today's show?
I don't think Dana White is spending a lot of time on Blue Ski. Who?
I don't see him as a Blue Ski guy. I think there's a couple of other social media places he likes to hang out.
Did you ask him, are you a Blue Ski guy? Was that question number one?
Well, he's on the board of Meta.
Yeah.
I mean, I was, asking him questions about basically like fact checking, the fact they don't have fact checkers and stuff. It was so interesting talking to him because he was in this moment, and I'm not trying to describe, I don't know him very well personally. I don't know what he's like in a million other ways, in a million other situations. But in this moment, he was like a very friendly golden doodle.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wanted to show me all the stuff in his office. He wanted to he was a very kind person in my experience of talking to him. And yet there were so many things that were said that were just like kind of sort of either contradictory or kind of didn't really make sense, or like he was like, I'm anti-war. And then the next thing we went into was a thing he has called the war room. Literally.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. It's the war room.
Yeah, right. Call back to that. I believe that was a
weirdly, a
meme that you injected into the criminals discourse the other day.
That's never far from my mind, honestly. It's a great joke from Dr. Strangelove.
But it was weird. I went into the interview wondering if it was going to be sort of adversarial, in that I'd be asking questions and his answers would be like maybe terse, or he would feel threatened by the questions, or he would be somehow sort of, I don't know, brusque with me. And it was the opposite of that. Mm-hmm. It was a guy who really, again, if we could have just some of the larger meta context, so to speak, if some of the larger context had been removed, I'd be like, oh, this guy's just kind of a sweet, doofy guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there is the context. But there was Norm Charlatan started following me on Blue Ski, Andrew.
That's who started. God,
You already forgot. Goldfish.
Oh, goldfish. I literally already forgot.
Listen,
you know what I'm doing?
I'm
I'm walking around as we speak. I'm walking. I did a street
digitally.
Yes, I did a street view shot of the Realty building, Lake Company Real Estate, and I did I just mispronounce it after that whole conversation? But anyway, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this neighborhood is so great. And now I'm just walking around Green Lake, like on Green Lake Ave or whatever, digitally on Google Maps, and I'm like, does this count as my exercise for the day? Honestly, because I'm really out here. I'm getting some fresh air. Everything is green and beautiful. It's a beautiful day on Google Maps.
We may find out sometime eventually that does actually count for your steps. Like maybe if your brain there will be a study that will find that your brain thinking that you did something gives you 70% of the benefit of doing the thing.
Yeah, I could, because you said something once. I want to get back to Sarah's message and her gift for you here, but you said something once that really stuck in my head because I didn't know it, or I haven't done reading on the topic, and you mentioned it like kind of in passing a long time ago about, we all know that walking is good for you, and I always just think of the sort of physical aspects of that. And I'm somebody who kind of likes walking. I'm not a big exerciser, but I like walking. I like walking around my neighborhood. It's a preferred mode of transportation.
Andrew, don't keep your sugar on the shelf. Don't hide your light under a bushel. Yesterday, when I missed our TB meeting because I was interviewing Dana White, and I called you and I said, can we do it now? You said, I'm actually going to the gym.
I said, I'm going to see Jim. Jim is the bartender.
Oh, I misheard that. Okay, that's on me.
Jim is the bartender at my gym. It's an awesome gym.
Did you just make up that joke? Because that is a really good joke.
Yes. I also
that
think of
could have been on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
I think of Lucille Bluth in the hospital saying, I'll be at the bar. And somebody says, there's no bar. This is a hospital. She says, well, this is why people hate hospitals.
Yes.
But yes, no, I did go to the gym yesterday. That was pretty good. But anyway, yeah. So I do. The thing that you said that stuck in my head. So I like walking around. I sometimes I think like, oh, I didn't get much exercise, but at least if I'm walking to the grocery store, if I'm walking around town or whatever, I'm getting a little bit of steps in, I guess. But you had mentioned that like the other like benefits of walking aren't just like the heart rate or like your joints or whatever, but also the actual motion of like you're taking in information. You're looking around you. Your eyes are a big part of it. And I haven't really followed up to learn more about that, but I think that's really fascinating.
Nor have I. But I did read an article one time that basically said when you go for a walk, your eyes are scanning, obviously, like the area around you for things you might trip on, etc. And something about that activity of your eyes doing that thing is it's good for your brain for whatever reason. Maybe it's the way your brain is engaged with that or something. But so the benefits are not just cardiovascular, but they are in fact kind of mental, I guess.
I'm kind of jogging through Green Lake here, and now there's somebody like jogging right next to me, Luke, and he has kind of wild eyes, and he's not wearing exercise.
Oh, it's my guy from Miss Covell.
It's your guy. Oh, did you take a Vegas run this morning?
I did.
Was it less?
I did.
Let's see here. What's what I'm looking for?
It was less. It was less. Adventurous?
Yeah.
It was less. There was fewer. I did not see the green-haired Joker guy. And also, nobody tried to jog with me. I also took a different route because I actually moved rooms in the hotel because the room that I was broadcasting from yesterday was one of those kind of rooms that has like a shared door. Like you could potentially rent out 2 rooms and then have open the door and go between them.
Yeah.
But the problem was I could hear the guy clearing his voice on the other side of the door, clearing his throat rather. And I was just thinking, this poor bastard is having to listen to me do an entire episode of TBTL at 10 in the morning in Las Vegas, Nevada. Like, can you just imagine like the hangover potentially and the whatever and the carousing that goes on, and then you just hear me through a very thin door. So I moved. Also, the room I was in was crummy. That was when I found out, by the way, that the entire top floor of this hotel is apparently off limits because none of the ACs work. And instead of fixing it, they're just no longer renting out the top floor of the hotel.
They're going to turn into an orchid garden.
This feels like, well, you know what? Let's just say thank you to Sarah. And can you tell me about the present? And then I will save my my complaints about Las Vegas for the part of the show where I complain about Las Vegas.
Okay, good. So, but we've established that Sarah is now at Lake Real Estate in that building there in the Daniel Bagley Elementary District of Seattle, as she says.
I mean, I delivered papers to that place. I cannot overstate it's how central that is to my childhood memories.
Man. Okay, so Sarah swung by the other day and wanted to give us both a little gift, but I think of that we each received one of these, and I'm very grateful for it, but I really think this was sort of like your this is your vibe and your idea.
Should I turn the camera on for this? Can I get a
sure,
visual
yeah, you
on
want
this?
to? Yeah, maybe you can announce what you're seeing. We had our cameras turned off because we kind of had slower internet today. So nice little fuchsia bag here, Luke.
Beautiful.
I don't know if you can see that. And then inside is a what?
Oh my goodness, a pencil sharpener, the exact kind we were talking about.
Exactly. You said eventually you
Sarah.
want one, I think, for your studio, right? Like a wall-mounted pencil sharpener here that you can, and it also comes with some pencils as well tied together here in a.
Sarah, how thoughtful.
Yeah. So I'll get this.
Thank
to
you very
Luke.
much.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Sarah, thank you so much for all your support over the years and for being a friend of the show and a friend of us. And tell you what, you may have messed up by letting me know that you work at that amazing real estate office, because the next time I'm sauntering around Green Lake, I'm going to pop in and say hi. I've actually never been inside that place because I've, never had a use as a child to buy a house. But maybe I went inside when I was dropping off the Outlook. It's been a long time, and I'm overdue, so I'm going to come visit you, Sarah. But thanks again for all the support.
If you ever hire Sarah, I want you to describe yourself as an Andrew.
Hello and welcome to Top Story.
It's funny today, Andrew, I saw a story in the Seattle Times about Las Vegas that felt very relevant to my experience here the last few days. The headline is, "That's Criminal. $26 mini bar water bottle at Las Vegas casino hotel sparks social media outrage." And the basic story is that somebody was staying at the Aria casino, and they grabbed a bottle of water from the mini bar, and they were charged $26. And that's a lot of money to pay for water. So they put that on the internet, and then people got outraged, as they tend to do. This was the part, though, that I thought was really bad, was apparently at some point, this same person who was charged $26 for this bottle of water had to call housekeeping because there was food still crammed in the refrigerator of the hotel room from 2 guests ago, 2 guests previous.
How did they know 2 guests previous? I read that, and I was a little confused by that.
That is a good question. How would they know that it was not just the people right before them? Maybe there was a receipt. It could have been a DoorDash order that had the date on it.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm going to go with it because I just feel like being outraged today, okay? Somehow 2 guests, I think 2 guests says it all.
Okay, 2 guests says it all.
2 guests. But what basically ends up going, being discussed in the rest of the article is that people are saying this kind of stuff is happening, like food being left in the refrigerator and other things about Las Vegas that are not ideal right now, because Las Vegas is very, very much understaffed. And I can just tell you that has been my experience. So not to sort of criticize any of the hardworking people who are here doing their very best, but everywhere that I've been going the last couple of days just to get some food or anything I've needed, like I was sitting out at the pool last night here at the hotel, and I was going to order some food while I was sitting at the pool. They don't have anybody coming up and taking care of there's nobody doing drink service, nobody doing food service. They just don't even have that anymore because they don't have enough staff for it. This town is so understaffed right now. It's crazy. And this hotel in particular is, I already mentioned earlier that they don't have any water in the lobby, which it's the desert. I feel like that's a human right. Like they should have to give you water, free water.
Yeah, I mean, in most cases, people would probably prefer a bottle of water that you can still buy at the Quickie Mart and then carry around with you all day and reseal it or whatever. Like, it's not going to totally kill the bottled water. It's just better for the environment as well. Like, you should also just provide, even have like one of those little bubblers with the cups that are pointy for some reason. Why don't they want us to set it down?
Pointy?
I was somewhere. Oh, I was at Whirly Ball. I hadn't seen one of those in a long time. And I was at Whirly Ball, which has a lot of sort of retro vibes, right? And I go to drink a little thing of water, and it's those tiny, tiny, thin, Luke, they're so thin paper cups that come to a point, like a snow cone cup. And I'm like, do you not want me to set this water down? Has there been a scourge of people
Here's my
setting
question to
water
you.
down?
Have you ever, after drinking water out of one of those cone cups, have you ever in your life not crushed it within your mighty hand?
You can't not.
You
right?
can't not.
Yeah.
You have to, for some reason. You are not allowed to just throw that in the garbage. You have to go. You have to Hulk smash it for some reason.
Yes, exactly. And I think I smashed a couple of those actually, because you can really only get one use out of them. But anyway, I just wanted to back you up. It should be a law. Like literally, it should be a law that you have to provide at least a place for somebody to get a cup of water. I understand you don't have to be handing out bottles of Fiji for free and swallowing the cost, but you should provide a cup or a glass of water.
From Fiji.
That's right. Yeah.
Speaking of Australia, Andrew, or wherever Fiji is, they have the weirdest thing at this hotel too. This is a Westin I'm staying in, right? But it is absolutely on its last legs. It is threadbare, like everywhere you look. Like the carpets are dingy, and the doors don't close quite right, etc. But if I were to call the front desk right now of this hotel, I'm on the I don't need to give the floor number in case somebody decides to show up, right? But I'm on the floor of this hotel that I am on. If I were to call the front desk, I would get a person in Australia who would ask me if they can help me before they connect me to the front desk of this hotel.
That's weird.
It is so annoying because yesterday when I was trying to work some stuff out with the hotel, i.e. my room change, I kept calling the hotel. This is when I was we were on a downtime at the shoot at the UFC, because I had missed calls from the front desk. The guy was trying to help me out with getting me a better room. I had missed calls. I call back, and I don't get the front desk. I get a person with an Australian accent who, the first time I called it, I just thought, oh, this is nice. They have somebody who answers the phone at this hotel with an Australian accent. But by the time I got the fourth woman who was different but also had an Australian accent, I realized, oh, this call is offshore. And then, so they ask, they're very beautiful voices, by the way, and a lovely accent. Australia is a wonderful island, as are its people, both direct and warm. But it would be you get this, you play this, you know what? I almost am tempted to just do this in the speakerphone into the, see if I can do this. Let me just see if this will work. I don't know. I'm going to try to do this on speaker. This is me calling the front desk.
Welcome to Westin Hotels and Resorts. Everything we do is designed to help you be at your best, so that you leave feeling better than when you arrived.
Even the Australian ladies are busy right now.
Yeah, right.
Thank you for calling the Westin Las Vegas Hotel and Spa. This is Sarah. How may I assist you?
Hi, could I have the front desk, please?
Is there something I can maybe assist you with?
No, you know what? I'll just give them a call back. Thank you. That's the other thing. They try to intercept you. They try to not put you through to the front desk if they can at all waylay you.
Now, this is all news to me. I don't keep an eye on Vegas very closely. I've never been there except for the one time I went with you, and we stayed at a trailer park in
We did have fun
RV.
at that little casino next to the trailer park.
I always look up the name of that place. I found it
Five
on Google.
Aces?
Yeah, or four. I think
Four
it was
Aces?
4 Aces, maybe. Yeah,
It used to be Five Aces, but they lost
hard times.
They lost their branding deal.
And I apologize if this is implied in everything that you're saying, and you already know this. But I was sort of assuming when you said that everybody is understaffed, I was sort of assuming that it had something to do with the workforce, post-recession and also generational, people not taking those jobs. But I'm seeing this article from just last month. Yeah, early last month in May. It says, what's behind all the recent layoffs at Las Vegas casinos? And this whole piece, which is actually, it's in the Seattle Times, but reprinted from the Vegas
Las
Review
Vegas Review
Journal. Yeah, have you already read this? Yeah,
no.
That is basically, this is really going to, if you weren't already irritated and didn't already assume this, this isn't about not having people who are willing to do these jobs. It's about these companies, just as you often complain about. as you often
illuminate the audience about, Andrew.
Yes, exactly. As you research and express yourself
assiduously.
regarding. Anyway, yeah. So it's just like these companies are just laying tons of people off to just try to squeeze more and more money, from the bottom line, I guess.
And it is totally noticeable. There's just so much stuff here that used to be pretty good that's now pretty bad because there's just nobody working anywhere. And then again, the poor folks who are working have to constantly deal with like annoyed, customers because there's only one of them to go around, that is to say the worker. And I think I had read a different article at some point which said, and I don't know how much this is directly responsible, but that basically young people, which is to say, I don't know, maybe people in their like 20s are not as interested in gambling as like our generation or our parents' generation. And there was a bunch of numbers about like the average visitor to Vegas based on their age and how much they gamble. And it's basically like, it sounds like, and I don't want to generalize here, but it sounds like younger people are, what's the word, smarter, I guess, than the generations that came before them that are just like, hey, I got a free steak dinner and all I had to do was lose $1,000 on Lightning Link. Like the younger people are not gambling. They want to go to concerts and they want to go sit at bungalows by the swimming pool. So a lot of the orientation of these casinos is changing towards trying to figure out what are the next generation of people actually interested in. But it also just seems like.
Can I ask you a quick question on that topic
Please.
before you move on? Do you think that also, and I wonder, I don't think we said this last time, are people not gambling as much, or are people not gambling in the traditional in-person way? Because if you look at sports betting, which is a relatively brand new phenomenon, but that has absolutely taken over the culture, there's just more of a mode of, I can gamble from wherever I want.
I don't know the answer to that. Like, I don't know if the total amount of gambling is basically constant, but it's just happening differently. That would make sense to me. Like, I don't think people stopped, wanting to do this thing that for certain people, me, brings them a lot of fun. But I can't give you a real answer on that. But what I can say is that things seem to be shifting around here. And what's happening is everything, part of why I'm staying in this absolute dump of a Westin is because there were no other hotels in Las Vegas that CBS was willing to pay for because of the cost of them. That's not true. I could have been in like Summerlin or Henderson or in the far outskirts of the greater Las Vegas area at like a Fairfield Inn or something. But as far as being relatively close to where we're filming and where stuff is going on, all of the hotels are too expensive. And why is that? That's because a lot of them are like losing money or maybe not making as much money as they want to. And so now they're all jacking up the prices of the hotel rooms. Everything here is really expensive right now, which means I think people are like less interested in engaging with the stuff, which means they have to keep raising the prices because like it's a vicious cycle here, I think, as far as like, it feels to me like the Vegas business model is not working.
Yeah, I'm looking at this article too, and it said something like that in recent months that the visitorship has sort of declined a little bit at the casinos as well. It seems like that is sort of a relatively new thing. But what's really galling is the fact that the article kind of starts by saying business is not bad. It's just that these companies are like looking to like remove the like how far can they go in taking away amenities? And I do think that this is still something that is like sort of like. The pandemic happened, and then it got all these, these sort of hospitality places saying like, oh, well, maybe, we had to remove some of these amenities for safety reasons, or at least that's what some of them were saying. And then it's like, oh, well, what can we get away with not providing?
Yes.
And people will still come. And what if we lose this? What if we lose this? What if we lose a whole floor of rooms and not fix the air conditioner?
Well, that was it. I was in the first room I was in, the one I was broadcasting from yesterday. It had two teeny tiny beds in it. First of all, it was a very small room that had two teeny tiny beds in it, and then like one chair, and then like a kind of a what was it, the fan or the AC unit that was like really kind of rattly and loud, and then a shared door. And Andrew, I don't know if you know this about me, I'm a Platinum Elite I'm a verified Yelp reviewer. No, I'm a Bonvoy Platinum Elite person, and I could not understand how this was the best room that they could find for me in this pretty large hotel in Las Vegas, because my sense of Las Vegas has always been, it's a bullshit town that is sucking the Colorado River dry and shouldn't exist. Okay, that's just like the starting point of Las Vegas. But when you're here, your family. No, when you're here, the rooms usually are actually kind of nice. Even in like you could be in a not particularly fancy casino, but they usually, I mean, what they try to do is make it so you feel like you're having an experience. So if you're staying at the, like for instance, the Venetian Hotel, which I can see from here, all of the rooms are what are called suites, meaning you come in and there's sort of the like little entry area and then it's sunken down. The living room area and the bedroom, you take a whole step down. That little small thing of a change in altitude by like 6 inches somehow tells your mind like, ooh la la, I'm in a suite. I'm in a nice hotel room. And I've generally speaking, I've been pretty happy with most of the hotel rooms I've had in Las Vegas because again, their whole thing is like, this person is very likely going to lose a bunch of money. How do we make this feel less bad for them? The way we do that is, or maybe even not lose money, this person's going to spend a bunch of money. This person is going to leave Las Vegas with much less money than they came to Las Vegas with for whatever reason. So let's make the experience nice. Let's make the restaurants feel kind of fancy. Let's make the rooms seem kind of fancy. Let's overdo it on the service. Let's have a thing of water in the lobby, and maybe we'll slice up a couple of limes and put it in there. Like, let's try to like zhuzh this whole thing up. And what's happened is Vegas has been unzhuzhed, and then you have to really face the reality of what it is, which is a town in the desert that like Bugsy Siegel set up so that he could like have his prostitutes and roulette, and no one would find out about it. Like, it just, if you take away those little small things that make Vegas feel kind of nice, you then, it was like what Tom Bodette said to me about drinking those so many years ago when I was trying to get him to come out and carouse in D.C., and he's a sober person, and he said, man, when you don't drink, these things really sound like what they are. Which was like an very sage thing to say. But anyway, when you're in Vegas and you have to call Australia to get to the front desk, you start to really notice Vegas for what it is. And what I will say is, I probably won't come back here other than maybe to work, or I guess if there's like some, I don't know, I'm trying to even think of what the social obligation would be that would be high enough for me to come back here. I don't think I'll choose to vacation in Las Vegas again, maybe for the rest of my life, honestly, because there's just other fun places you can go. And certainly there's not a lack of gambling in the world. I mean, you can go lots of places for that, or do it on your phone if you must. But like, I'm just kind of like thinking this town is sort of, jumped a certain shark.
Yeah, I can feel that. I've never been a huge Vegas person myself, as you know, as it was just previously stated. So, but I without belaboring it, I just feel like I understand, especially as I get older and older, when you look at something and then suddenly the veneer is gone and you sort of see it for what it is, And I don't know. It's a vague feeling that I have right now, but I do just sort of feel like even places, and listen, I'm not a highfalutin person at all, but I will still bro down in some pretty scruffy places, but even the appeal of some places that I used to like because they might have been a little bit, just a little, again, scruffy around the edges or whatever, I look at it, I'm like, what is going on here? And that for me is not even like the lack of alcohol. Trust me, we're keeping the Jim at my gym, my personal trainer at the gym, Jim, the bartender.
Jim Beam, right?
Yeah, Jim, right, exactly. He's saying, keep the alcohol levels high, please. It's very important for this stage of your development. I'm like, okay,
well, honestly,
you're the doctor here.
You can't, that's a variable, and if you remove it, none of the data can be trusted.
Exactly.
The only way we can trust the data is if you keep everything constant.
I'm working the system, Luke. Yeah. I'm working Jim's system.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The big book. It's where Jim keeps my bar tab. It's got many pages.
All of that is to say, it doesn't even have to be a bar, but maybe even a restaurant that maybe I would at one point have found like very like sort of heartwarming and sort of like very comfortable and cozy, because it would remind me of being a kid and going to a place like this. But then you kind of look around, you're like, I don't know if I want to be eating here. Like you look in the corners a little bit too closely or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I don't know. I might be aging out of some of this.
It just feels like late stage capitalism to me.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'm looking at the Sphere right now.
Yeah,
my new room has a dead-on view of this. I don't know if it's multi-billion dollars, but at least $1 billion, I think, went into this thing built by James Dolan, a.k.a. Cabletown, a.k.a. the guy in the fedora who wants to play the halftime show at the New York Knicks just because he owns them. And it's like this thing, supposedly anyway, is, even though it's very popular, it's hemorrhaging money because somehow they never really did the math on, like, even if we sell this thing out most of the time, it will never recoup what the cost of building it was.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, that just seems to, again, it's also blindingly daylight. I'm looking at a parking lot. I'm, again, not drunk. Maybe the Vegasness of Vegas is really just kind of like coming down on top of me in a way that it doesn't usually, because I'm in a totally different state of mind when I've been here. But
I'll say this, like, I am starting to really understand why they kicked you off the Vegas tourism board, though.
Mm-hmm.
You said, well, let's start with this is a bullshit city based on bullshit principles, or whatever you said before.
Also, I kept stealing pens.
Yes, well, there was the office supply issue as well.
Yeah, as well. So, by the way, peace and love to our listeners here in Las Vegas. I do think that there are some cool parts of this town. I just don't think I'm in the cool part of it right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of lovely neighborhoods and actually a lot of natural beauty. If I look past the stratosphere, I can see some the beautiful mountains in the distance. So I don't want to sound like I'm being critical of anybody who lives or works here.
No,
there's just, as a person who really, really loved this place in my 20s, and who's kind of, every time I've been back in my later years, the bloom has kind of been a little bit more off the rose. I just think literally the last petal fell off on this trip.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just looking around like, what even is this place?
And also, you're going through it. I mean, it was a pretty stressful, I mean, I don't want to tell you your emotions, but like you kind of indicated on the show yesterday, you're there to do a pretty serious level interview based, compared to some of the other stuff you've done. It's not like like a kind of a fluffy assignment and you can enjoy a lot of time at the pool. You just got burgled. I'm thinking, and I do believe I'm using that properly, know, and so you're dealing with all of that. Like, it's just like, I think all of those things can combine too to give you a certain like kind of perspective on your surroundings.
Yes, I'm really ready to go, and I still have to watch Power Slap. That's the thing.
You're not done yet. I was going to ask, I was like, why are you still there? Because you had mentioned not want to give out your room number, so you're spending another night there. You're not out of there today,
Andrew. I'm spending 3 more nights here.
Oh, all for the same
tonight,
story still, huh?
All for the same story, because the actual UFC event is on Saturday night. So I don't come home until Sunday.
Oh, right. You got to be there for the event.
Yeah, exactly.
Is any part of you looking forward to the event?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Not the Power Slap so
No,
much.
I know that. Yeah.
But the event is, I've never been to a UFC event. I don't personally have a big moral problem with it, because I do think, it's people train their whole lives to do this, and I do think that there are, I don't know. I don't want to get into trying to speculate on how safe it is, but I don't. It's not making me feel bad to go watch this. And my understanding is a very electric environment. It's a very interesting thing going on. So the novelty of it is kind of interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought, and that's something that you've enjoyed on television many times before with buddies and stuff. So yeah, that might maybe try to keep an eye on that. that end of the
that's
race.
The pot at the end of the rainbow is watching a guy knee another guy right to the throat.
Right.
If I make it through this difficult week of work, I will get to see a guy knee another guy in the throat.
Hey, I have an update here, Luke. I just got the list of topics for the show at KOW on Friday. They are not biting on the ASCAP story, so I can put this book away now. So now I reread it and just, what if I just find some Joseph Mitchell related essay for every topic?
Do they have one for sales tax?
Yeah, exactly. What are we talking about here?
Listen, I don't want to do this to you, my friend. I don't want to even lovingly criticize the editorial decisions of a show you're going to go be on. But I think that ASCAP story is a really interesting story. Can we talk about it a little bit tomorrow, honestly?
Sure, we should look into it. I think I maybe understand it too. It's kind of like, I think that's interesting. You and I are kind of broadcast guys. It might not hold up as a topic for 3 people to chop it up about,
Well, let's try to chop it up on tomorrow's show, because I'm legitimately very interested in this, because I have complicated feelings, because I do think artists should be, compensated for their work. And yet something about this feels, I don't know.
Wrong?
A little kind of wrong. So.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay, great. Well, that is what is going to happen on tomorrow's program, which is my way of telling you we are at the end of today's program.
No, we are
So thank you.
most certainly not at the end of today's program.
I
There's
knew I
something
was going to do that.
Very, very important that we need to do.
No, my friend. What I was saying is a lot of people have been confused today, and they've been thinking we're at the end of today's program, but I'm not one of them.
Of course
okay?
not, because this is your favorite part
No,
of the
I'm a
week.
person who absolutely remembers.
You can just listen to your soul. Just remember that life is number one. You can be having so much fun. Just remember that life is much fun. You can be number one.
All right, here we go. We're going to keep this real, well, I'm not doing, by not finding the word I'm looking to say, I'm doing the opposite of what I'm trying to say. I was going to say we're going to keep this real kind of brief and smooth and clean.
To the
and
point.
Instead, I said 1,000 times.
No.
These are the Blurs days. You email me, andrew@tbtl.net. You put Blurs Day in the subject line. You write a little note to somebody who's celebrating a birthday, like Annette, who said, I want to wish my wonderful 11 Keith a happy 50th Blurs Day. Keith is a kind, thoughtful, creative, and all-around awesome person. I couldn't imagine going through life or celebrating 25 years of marriage with anyone else. This year has been rather this is sad. This year has been rather difficult for us and for the world, but our teamwork and love for each other always has and will get us through. Bioso forever. That's because of and in spite of forever. Because of and in spite of forever. Happy 50th Blurs Day, my love, from Annette.
25 years. That is really, really sweet.
It is. Congrats, guys. Happy Blurs Day.
That thing is called Charmed, and I thought it was like a charming,
scary
note about their 25 years of marriage.
But it was kind of scary. It was like entering.
It kind of was. It
a-
did come
yeah.
sort of out of the. Kind of came out of left field. I apologize. Was this better?
Oh, there you go. That represents
That calmed you
marriage.
right
Yeah,
down.
There you go. Erica says, I'd like to wish my 5 Matthew a very happy 8th Blurs Day. I'm so proud to be your mom because you never get up even when things get tough. Matthew really loves TBTL just like his mom. He does have one wish on this Blurs Day. I'm getting nervous here, Luke, because I didn't pre-read this, and I don't know what this wish is going to be and whether or not we can fulfill it.
Was it to play this sound effect?
Yes. Oh, I don't like
Oh,
this.
good.
This goes negative. He does have one wish on his Blurs Day. In his words, quote, please change the Dazzling Donor song or I will throw bees at you and whack you
Beads?
with hot dogs. Bees. Beads. Bees? Well, don't whack us with hot dogs. Ironic that we had been done with the Dazzling Donors for like 10 days or something, and today's the one day we had the Dazzling Donor song that I guess I'm right.
I
right?
love
it's the
that
Daz-
song,
yeah, it's
and I
Matthew
will
that-
not listen to any criticism of it.
I stand by it. Yeah. Happy Blurs Day. Sheila says, happy Golden Blurs Day to Cindy. It's been so long since we've seen each other. We've taken to communicating through our Blurs Day messages. Oh, my
Aw.
God. We are like the code breakers of World War II, Luke. I don't think that holds up. I hope you have a wonderful day today, friendo. Can't wait to go to another live show with you. Next time you're passing through T-Burg on the way to Lodi, give me a jingle. I miss you. Happy birthday.
T-Burg. I wonder where T-Burg is.
I think they're
I know where Lodi
shortening
is.
something here because it's letter T B U R G. So
Right.
would that be Thunderbird?
But on the way to Lodi.
Lodi. I think of Ohio. Lodi is in Ohio, but I know that's not the most famous Lodi. Where's the most famous Lodi?
Well, it's whichever one Creedence Clearwater Revival is singing about, right?
Oh, really? I
Oh,
didn't know.
Lord, stuck in Lodi again. Down, 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 down. I think that's about Lodi, California.
Lodi, California. So what's T-Burg, I wonder?
That's what this is.
Yeah, I don't know.
More questions than answers.
When they go low,
Yep.
I go Lodi. Happy Blurs Day, Cindy. Levi says, I considered... Hey, it's our buddy Levi here in Seattle.
Hey.
Pardon me. Do you have it from here? I'm having throat issues.
Yeah, I do.
I considered just hoping another 10 blurs me on this, my Golden Blurs Day, but then I thought, why not just blurs myself, just in case? Anyway, happy 49th Blurs Day to me. I've now joined Luke in being older than Andrew for a few months. Also, happy 20th Blurs Day to Ball of Wax, born in my basement on June 25th, 2005.
That's awesome, Levi. Congratulations.
That was
By the way,
clearing my throat.
Yesterday, in the interview, at some point Dana White asked me how old I was, and I said 40. I might have even said 48 because I'm not that used to being 49 yet. And then later on, he said something. He referenced. He goes, "Well, you're 46, and I'm 56 or something." And I was like, "I'll take it."
Yeah, right.
I enjoyed the experience of someone misremembering my age and then knocking 3 years.
And then because you have that youthful energy.
That's it. That's what everybody's been telling me.
And finally, I love this because Jess just sent this in during the show and said, I think I was too late in sending this in. And Jess,
we got you in there.
You were not too late. This is from Jess in Michigan, who says, sending out a happy blurs, my nurse, to my dear friend Angela. Okay, so you're not really my nurse, but you are you are extraordinary at being a friend and being a nurse and deserve a shout out for both. So, Angela is a nurse, but she's not Jess's nurse. But I do like happy blurs my nerves. Like that is, I like that a lot.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's good. Plus, I needed my silly rhyme to work. Oh, there we go. Explaining it means we're already in trouble. Happy Blurs Day. Love you, girl. That's from Jess to Angela.
Excellent. Happy Blurs Day.
Yeah, not my best Blurs Day work today, everybody. Sorry about that. I was a little distracted.
Well, I didn't even remember we still did the segment.
Yeah, that's a good
This feels
point.
like late stage Blurs Day to me,
This
Andrew.
is late stage blursism. All right, let's get out of here. I got to finish reading this Joseph Heller book and just hope that some of it addresses the mandatory abuse reporting and how it affects the Catholic Church.
Listen, what the listeners are going to hear on tomorrow's TBTL is an expertly executed conversation about whether or not bars should have to pay ASCAP licensing. And I'm not going to say that it is going to cause KUOW's program to pale in comparison, but it might happen.
It might happen. And I'm just like, if I had gotten this list a little bit earlier, I would have known that we weren't doing that story. I wouldn't have rushed out of here to grab that book, and I wouldn't have hurt my nipple.
Yeah,
like this is kind of on KUOW.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We are going to be right back here tomorrow with more Imaginary Radio. So please do join us for that. In the meantime, have a great Thursday. Take care of yourselves. Go Mariners. Go Twins. And please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
With interest-free credit for the holidays, Silo brings out the Santa in everyone. Silo is now offering interest-free credit on TVs, VCRs, camcorders, and audio systems by famous names like Sony, JVC, RCA, Kenwood, Pioneer, and many more. That's interest-free credit on top of our already guaranteed low prices. Plus, Silo's no-hassle return policy makes it easy to shop with confidence. So let Silo bring out the Santa in you with interest-free credit throughout the store, throughout the season.
Power out.